What is good? Welcome back. So I want to talk about combining test with any kind of nandrolone, whether that's NPP or Deca, combined with test. Obviously for bodybuilders, that's one of the most common, most tried and true combinations for just growing size. Now, obviously nandrolone has a bad reputation for some side effects. I think almost all of the reputation of these side effects is when it's combined with test. When you're running nandrolone by itself, I don't really ever see these issues in people or me. From what I've found, the key is you have to choose whether you want test really high or nandrolone really high. And usually when you're running solo, we're just talking Deca because it's a longer ester. That's why these Deca only cycles are so trendy, or they used to be, and then they're so popular when people try them out. If you don't use the test with it, the estrogen and the progestogenic effects don't combine. It's like your body's choosing one or the other. If you tried NPP or Deca before and you didn't like it and you just seem sensitive to the side effects, I would almost guarantee it's because you're running a moderate dose with the test and the nandrolone. I would recommend retrying it with a high dose of nandrolone, whether that's by itself or a little bit of test, or you want to try a high test with a little bit of nandrolone for support. Now, how do you decide if you should be the one to try nandrolone by itself, nandrolone with a little bit of test, high test, and a little bit of nandrolone? Which one's best for you, right? Now, if you're a beginner, the only time you would try to go high nandrolone at all is if you've done tests and you're very sensitive to the estrogenic side effects. Or maybe you feel a little crazy on tests. Some people just get a little bit too stimulated on tests and they actually feel more calm on nandrolone. If you're going down the nandrolone route, we need to decide if you're gonna do nandrolone only or nandrolone with a little bit of test. That depends on your dosages. If you're running around a gram or less total, you're gonna wanna run nandrolone with a little bit of test on the back end. That would be something like, let's just say we're running a gram of Deca a week, and then you would throw something very light on top with the test, like 50 milligrams per week. And then if you are already using HCG, you can use HCG instead of test for the test space, something like 750 mcgs a week of HCG. And then you could titrate up or down from there. If you're starting off low with the 50 milligrams of test, you would titrate slowly up if you felt you need to, or you just let the Deca and a little bit of test saturate, and then you can get your blood work done in about 6 weeks. Now, if we're talking nandrolone only, I would really only recommend running Deca by itself. I wouldn't recommend NPP. Deca is gonna saturate to a higher level, so this is a little bit more predictable when it's literally just the Deca. For someone doing that, you would need about 1.5 grams per week total of Deca to kind of get you in an estrogen sweet spot. That's how it is for most people. Low 20 to high 20 E2 rating for most people. And that's gonna give you all the feelings that you're looking for when you read about Deca only, all the benefits, everything that people like about Deca only. Now, circling back to the high test and the low nandrolone, how do you decide on the dosages there? Now, that's gonna be very individual and it's a little bit less cookie cutter. Let's just say a gram a test just for ease of reference. And then your estrogen is under control, whether you're taking AIs or some sort of DHT derivative to get your estrogen under control. Then you would sprinkle in a little bit of NPP. You would probably start off with 100 milligrams a week, and then you're probably gonna be able to play around with up to like 300 milligrams a week, somewhere in that range, and you're gonna get some of the benefits, the GMC receptor and all the other benefits that you get from Deca, the joint effects. There's just a threshold of just getting the nandrolone dose too close to the test when people do have issues. Some people don't have any issues, but once you cross that threshold, if you're that kind of person, that's when, you have the DHT and the DHN. They're like kind of fighting for receptor availability. And then you have the progestogenic effects and the estrogen effects just compounding on each other. And then that's when all the issues just tend to come out. Getting a high dose of both though, it's one of the best growth promoting cycles there is. Now, there's so many other compounds at our disposal. You can pretty much just make up for combining tests with something else and you can grow just fine. Let me know if you guys had any good or bad experiences running tests and nandrolone together and like what kind of dosages we're talking. I just don't see a lot of nandrolone cycles at all anymore. I think people are scared of it because, like I said in this whole video, when the ratios get too close, that's when the issues come around. So I would just recommend relooking, retrying, and pick and choosing from this video what kind of style is good for you. Feel free to ask me questions about any of this kind of stuff. I got my Instagram and my email in the description. And then if you guys want coaching, same thing, hit one of those 2 lines and I got you. Thanks for watching.